Hi, everybody. Welcome to WyomingLive.tv. Kind of your Wednesday opportunity to gather as a community in the kitchen of Wyoming and share some thoughts and some ideas. We invite you, if you can, to make comments. You can on the little comment page you see on your screen there. And we'll be happy to answer any questions. We've got some great guests today, but before we do that, I got to bring in my co-host, Lynn Montoya. Hi, Lynn.
Hey, how are you?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you surviving?
First, I should probably surviving. Surviving what?
Surviving the COVID.
Oh, yeah. That. Well, that and the murder hornets.
I'm glad
I
we
don't
don't
know.
have murder hornets.
Not yet.
And you know they're having locusts. Where somewhere in Europe or something?
In the Middle East.
Oh, the Middle East.
Well, they were at least a few weeks
So we
ago.
got locusts, we got killer hornets, and we got COVID.
No, murder hornets.
Murder hornets.
Not killer hornets. They're
we're-
murder hornets. Sounds like
We're
something
doomed.
out of a sounds like something out of a cartoon monster movie or something, a B-real movie. But we should also say it's Nurses Day. It's recognition of Happy Nurses Day. We should mention that. We have
It's Nurses
our daughter
Week, too.
kind of,
Yeah.
yeah. So we have a daughter-in-law that's a nurse, that's an RN down in Tucson, Arizona. So shout out to her and all the work she's doing and all the work that all of our nurses are frontline people are doing. So
Important time for nurses, I'll tell you. A lot of people are probably going to leave the nursing career after this.
you
I
wonder?
hope not.
I hope not.
I hope not. We need them.
Nursing is one of those things. It's a passion.
Yeah.
You know, it's
is.
more than a job. It's a passion.
It is.
Taking care of people.
And some people lost their lives over it this time.
Right.
You never know.
Right. So just wanted to recognize all the nurses out there.
We've got some great guests today. We have Haley Morton Levinson, who is the vice mayor in Jackson, and also her family, the family of innkeepers. She grew up as an innkeeper. So we're going to find out what's going on up in Teton County, how that's all going. We also have Laura McDermott, who will be joining us later, and she is part of the Laramie Art Coalition. Am I
Public
getting that right?
Art Coalition.
Public Art Coalition.
Yes.
And then finally, for our musical guest today, we actually have Steve and Diane Frame from the Casper area that will be doing, they're going to do some live music. We haven't done live music on this yet, but they'll play a song for us. And we'll play one of Steve's old videos, too. That'll be kind of fun. So all that, this is probably the fullest show we've had so far.
Yeah.
A lot of folks, so we'll cram it in. Like I said, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, feel free to do that. You can put them up on the screen. And we'll be back with Haley Levinson from Jackson.
Sounds
in
good.
Just a moment. That was quick.
Nope.
We're back. I
guess.
didn't even give you time to go to the bathroom, Lynn.
That was quick.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I didn't know that was that short.
Well, joining us via Skype from Jackson, we've got Haley Morton Levinson, who I've known for a few years, and
we've known Haley
for
your
a
family.
while. Main reason we know you, Haley, is that your family owns a great inn. You have a history of motel and inn ownership in the Jackson area.
Yes, my family had the Sundance Inn. Some Wyomingites may remember that, right on Broadway. And we had that for about 23 years. And now for the last 10, we have owned Inn on the Creek, which is an 11-room bed and breakfast 4 blocks from the town square.
Which is wonderful. It's really, some people call it the truck stop. I heard it referred to recently that because there's a truck route that comes right toward the inn, and then they make a turn out in front of the inn. So you haven't had a truck hit the inn though yet, have you?
No, thankfully. It is on the truck route, but we don't notice that too much.
No.
And we do extra sanding in the winter to make sure they don't come through the inn.
Well, you don't get that many trucks that come through Jackson, so that's probably a big part of it. But it's at a great place because it's right on Flat Creek, and we'll always love that. The other hat you wear is that you've been involved in town council. Right now, you're vice mayor there.
Yes. I've been vice mayor for 2 years, which is appointed by the mayor, and I'm in my 8th year serving on the town council. So
Wow.
one of the senior members.
Well, I know we've talked when I've been up there. I mean, one of the big issues I know with City of Jackson right now and the town there is just housing. I mean, you're so crammed in between the elk preserve and the mountains and everything else. Finding affordable, housing for a lot of the help there is sometimes difficult.
Right. Most people know that Teton County is 97% public land. So that's the national forests, the national parks, other conservation easements. So our 3% of land that's private is hard to find housing for everyone. And we have been working on a lot of different initiatives, whether that's through incentives for private developers to build more apartment or denser housing. And then the town and county also have several initiatives for public housing using public dollars.
That's neat, and I've seen some of those projects. They're really pretty cool.
So how is the feel around town with the whole COVID thing? You guys were kind of a hotbed there for a little bit still because you had still had a lot of tourism coming through kind of when this first hit.
Right. In early March, when we started seeing what was happening at different ski resorts in the Mountain West and then also across the world, we became very concerned that Jackson would have a similar trajectory.
Right.
And the town council, had our first emergency meeting March 12th. I remember because I was leading it. The mayor was out sick.
Oh,
no.
Not with COVID-19.
Not with COVID.
But yeah. So we, and that meeting was actually to talk about special events that we had coming at the end of March, our beloved hill climb,
Right.
that I think was supposed to be the 44th annual, and then our Rendezvous Fest. And those are events designed to bring people in at the end of the ski season to help our businesses. And so we ended up on March 12th canceling those just out of the concern of having so many people come into the town and overwhelming our healthcare system.
Oh, yeah.
We've been lucky with all of our kind of initial actions. I think that really helped slow down the spread. We were looking at Sun Valley as an example where they did not have stay-at-home orders. They did not have gatherings, and they were a few weeks ahead of us. But their increase in cases is and was substantially more than ours.
Well, it's interesting that you all decided to cancel the Rendezvous Festival. I've been to it a couple of times, and that's an outdoor concert in the parking lot at Teton Village, so you'd think people would be a little safer, but they do crowd pretty tightly, especially up near the stage, I know, so that was probably a smart idea.
Yeah, and same with the hill climb, it's outside, but knowing the numbers that come in for those events, which can be upwards of 10,000, we felt like, it was best to cancel them. And also we were thinking about like our, the police and fire personnel, which maybe aren't interacting with people medically, but they're exposed to so many people. And, if they go down too, then the system is really taxed.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and I'm sure, like most of our cities here in Wyoming, that are tourist based, we're definitely going to be feeling the hit in the wallet. Are you guys already starting to make some concessions and changing some things up and talking about how that's going to affect Teton County this year?
Yes, still wearing my town council hat. We just started the budget sessions. They were supposed to be basically at the beginning of all this, but we were dealing with the emergency. And for this current fiscal year that we're in, the town of Jackson stripped $2.8 million from the current fiscal year just to not go into reserves between now and July 1st when our next fiscal year starts. And we just received the revenue projection from our town manager for the budget, which is going to be reduced by 50%.
Did you
Wow.
did
town
you
of
have to make
Jackson-
personnel cuts or anything like that?
No, we have not.
Good.
That has been a big thing for us that, we're trying our best not to furlough or cut anyone at this time. Looking at the fiscal year that starts July 1, so that's fiscal year 2021, with a reduction of 50% in revenue, we will obviously have to dip into our reserves, our own rainy day funds. And we are prepared to do that because we feel, we have enough cushion to still have a safe reserve after this year, but then also just to keep our essential services running for the town.
Right.
Good. What have you seen in the community? What are people doing, and how are people supporting each other? And what's kind of going on? Give us a feel for what's going on up in Jackson.
Yeah, I think that people always say in times of crisis, you can really see people coming together. And Jackson's no exception. It's been amazing to see how quickly things have, how quickly they've come together, how quickly different organizations have started working together, whether that's from relationships they had before or just out of necessity now. A few examples, our community foundation on that same, I think March 12th too. So we had our first government emergency meeting. The Community Foundation of Jackson Hole announced an emergency relief fund for COVID-19 and has been able to raise more than $2.5 million since
Wow.
then. And that has been given out as small grants and money to individuals. So for
that's
example, you can apply and it's for things like groceries, rent, insurance, like health insurance, and you receive funds. And so for people who can't necessarily apply for unemployment or receive funds through the federal government that way, this has been a really big help.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
That's kind of nice to have that safety net a little bit to help. Putting on your innkeeper hat now, has the inn been closed? Because I know normally you stay open all winter.
Yeah, we have a typical 12-day maintenance closure.
Oh.
So that conveniently came at the end of March, as it annually does.
Okay.
And so we have done that. And then given the different orders that have been in place for the state and for Teton County, we have been there answering phones and answering emails, but have not had guests. And so we're looking forward to welcoming guests back this Friday and starting to have some people back at the inn.
Well, I know you, Lynn, have been involved in Wyoming Restaurant and Lodging Association. I guess the question would also go to you, Haley. Do you think, what kind of impact do you think we're going to have as far as lodging and tourism this year? Are you guys expecting it to be off by 50%, 25%? What do you think?
Yeah, it's anyone's guess. It just really depends on how consumers will feel coming and traveling. Right now, people don't necessarily feel that comfortable, although we're starting to hear from folks, definitely towards the end of summer, and even regional folks now that are like, okay, some of the orders are being lifted. I'm healthy and I feel like traveling. So it's always that kind of that balance of making sure the town of Jackson doesn't get overwhelmed, but also when it's safe to welcome people, we should.
Well, and the park is closed. So Yellowstone.
I was just going to mention the park.
Yeah, the park is
right.
closed. And so I know being at this end of the state, and you and I kind of get the same kind of traveler. So, we've seen a lot of cancellations just for the fact that the park is closed because they were going to the park. And so that's got to be another big concern for the area as well.
Yeah, for sure. And the park, both Grand Teton and Yellowstone, have been really helpful in communicating with either the local government or the chambers, especially of Jackson and Cody. But they have their own challenges, and they are not opening some of the lodges in Grand Teton and in Yellowstone because of needing to house staff in a different way that they have before.
Right.
They won't be able to rely on, dormitory housing. And so that sort of thing is difficult, right? And, and then just having day access right now is not, it's closed altogether. So like even locals can't drive into the parks.
Right.
And so, just waiting to hear when that might happen. And we have an idea, but neither park has officially given an opening date.
Yeah.
And that's hard when guests, especially on that cusp of, okay, we're coming at the beginning of June. Is Yellowstone going to be open? Or
Right.
we're coming mid-June. Is it going to be open?
Yeah.
And so,
and you can't say,
so
you
that's
can't,
hard.
you can't predict when they're, because they run under a whole different set of rules than what the rest of us do, because it's part of the national park system. And, and they have their own rules and regulations.
Right.
And like you said, with housing, the people that work in the park as well and
Right.
everything.
Right.
So looking at those tourism dollars, Wyoming that's our second largest industry is tourism. And we're
Right.
definitely going to really feel it this year. And this is Tourism Week, Wyoming Tourism Week. So, celebrating tourism in Wyoming in a whole different way is really, has really kind of been changed for us in the industry. So,
Yeah, it really has. Well,
Yeah.
we know you got to get back to work, but we did hear one other rumor about someone running.
it's not a rumor if it's
not a
already
rumor.
been
Well,
announced.
I just want Haley to confirm it. I hear you're running for mayor this year as vice mayor,
Yes.
and you're going to be running for mayor.
Yes, I am. Thank you. I'm excited. I announced that right before all of this ended up happening. And so this time has been interesting to reflect on that decision, but I'm really excited to run. Campaigns are interesting in the sense that you really get back to the issues that are near and dear to your heart. And so I look forward to that. For anyone watching and interested, filing is mid-May to the end of May. And I think that goes for most towns and
Right.
counties in Wyoming. And so I would encourage anyone to get involved and run for office.
But not
because
run against you, though.
Maybe not against me, but even so, a challenger is okay.
That's
Well,
good.
and it's
but
great
yeah.
to see that we have more females running for office seats in the state of Wyoming, and that's always great and encouraging. So you're setting a great example, and I'm sure you'll have lots of mentoring opportunities as well for other women.
And Haley's well loved
Yeah,
in
thank
you.
Teton County. Now, I
Oh,
should
thank you
say
both.
before you think, I mean, Haley is a superwoman. I mean, mayor, possibly mayor,
Yeah.
and innkeeper. She's got a great support system, though. And your husband, Nate, is wonderful. You've got 2 young kids and a mother and father that are very involved in both the business and I'm sure taking care of the grandkids, too.
Oh yeah, it's you think the whole community raises a family.
Yeah.
Our little microcosm of our family is really the only reason that I can serve and do what I do, and that we can make the ends the way that it is, because we know we love treating guests like friends and family when you visit. So
Absolutely.
Well, good. Well, happy Mother's Day coming
Yeah,
up
that's right.
this weekend.
You
So
too.
I'll say that
Thank
in
you.
advance to you. So
And
thank you.
And give our best to your family.
Yeah. Thank
Yes,
you for being
thank you,
with
guys.
us today.
Great.
I look forward to the episode.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Take care, Haley.
Yeah.
And of course, that is Haley Morton Levinson, the vice mayor and maybe the future mayor of
She will be. I'm
Jackson,
sure
I
it
think.
sounds like she's got a lot of support there. So
Yeah. Now we have Laura McDermott coming up next. We're going to talk a
great.
little bit
Art.
about art. that'll be great. We haven't done a whole lot of that yet, and we really need to. So that'll be coming up next here on WyomingLive.tv. Welcome back to WyomingLive.tv. I'm Paul Montoya. Thank you for joining me today. Not much in the way of comments today. Feel free, if you've got one to message us, you've got the little message and comment board there. Keep in mind that even though we're live now, this will be posted here comes Lynn.
Oh, sorry.
You're definitely a radio person.
I had an emergency. I'm sorry.
Definitely a radio person.
I had to take care of an emergency. Sorry.
I was telling people they can, after the fact, watch this on YouTube. Go to our YouTube channel, WyomingLive.tv, or you can catch it on Facebook. It's archived there. Or you can go to our website, WyomingLive.tv. And do you want to tell everybody about our next guest?
Well, we have Laura coming up. And Laura is, well, let's see. Laura, you've been here, about a year?
Actually, about a month.
A month? Oh, I thought it was a little bit longer. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine.
But Laura's here because she's the director of the Laramie Public Art Coalition, which is really been a fun project that's been going on in Laramie. Some of the things that have happened in the past have been the Front Porch Concert Series, which happened last September, that was fun. That was delightful. That was great. Pop-up art walks, public art tours, stories from here. So a lot of different things that you guys can do to get involved. Probably the next upcoming event is Art Up Close, which is an online public art. So we've got Laura with us to tell us a little bit more about that and tell us a little bit about the project, what's going on.
And Laura, you're new to town. You actually arrived here a month ago, didn't you?
Yes. So actually, my husband and I pulled into town on April 6th. I don't recommend that anybody moves during a pandemic, but we came from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, so we had to drive across the country. But we had sold our house in Pittsburgh, so we had to come on over.
You had to get here, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. So, I started working for LPAC in March. So I did a little bit of remote work. I mean, I'm still technically working remotely, even though I'm now based here in Laramie. But yeah, we started Art Up Close in mid-March as a response to sort of the COVID-19 situation. And, everybody has had to adjust their plans for the year. You talked about the Front Porch Music Festival. That was something we were hoping to do this year again, but we have to just continually adjust sort of day by day as the situation, improves or whatever happens. But Art Up Close was a great project for us to sort of kick off with the city of Laramie to support our artists here in Laramie and also support our community by connecting them to some creative resources.
Now, Tell people a little bit about how you work in the community, and then how the community can be involved in with the online and everything. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So Art Up Close is we have 12 different artists that are creating some online, like, virtual content that people can connect with. We're releasing it. We're releasing new content every Tuesday and Thursday at 1 p.m. on our Facebook page, but we also have a YouTube channel, and you can find us on laramiepublicart.org as well. So there's multiple different ways that people can get to the projects. But we started releasing videos about 2 weeks ago, and it's everything from, you can create a song with a singer-songwriter, you can paint mushrooms with a watercolor artist, you can write with a writer. So there's a bunch of different prompts, and it's really wonderful to see how artists are thinking creatively and thinking about how they can get their work to people in new ways through this sort of virtual connection.
Well, you have moved out here from the East Coast, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
You were in Pittsburgh.
That's right. Yeah.
What were you doing there?
So in Pittsburgh, so I had lived, I'm from the Pittsburgh area originally, so I've spent my entire arts career in Pittsburgh. So for the past 15 years, I've been involved in the arts there. Right before I came to the Laramie Public Art Coalition, I was working at the Carnegie Museum of Art in Pittsburgh, which is primarily a contemporary art museum. And I was tasked with bringing in new audiences to the museum, and then also sort of connecting with artists in our community in different ways. So we did a bunch of different program streams that brought in artists that previously had not been represented at the museum to do interesting and fun events. So it was a way for us to, again, connect to our community and bring other people in. So I spent 5 years at the Carnegie Museum of Art. And then prior to that, I was at the Pittsburgh's Office of Public Art, where I was in charge of education there. So doing artist lectures, doing artist workshops, etc. So yeah, that's sort of my career trajectory here. And actually, my boss at the Pittsburgh Office of Public Art, Renee Paichaki, was part of the team who wrote the public art plan for the city of Laramie in 2015. Nice, yeah. So that's sort of my connection to Laramie, actually. It's a little serendipitous and wonderful.
So on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 1 to 2, you can join on Facebook Live, you said, right? On your page. And can you, well, tomorrow's Thursday. Do you have an idea of what's going to be going on tomorrow?
Yes. So tomorrow we are releasing a video by an artist, Debbie Matthew. And Debbie Matthew is a mixed media artist, and she is taking us through a how to do encaustic work, which is a really interesting process. I think people will be really jazzed to just sort of watch her create. It's very cool. So that is tomorrow. Yesterday we released a watercolor tutorial. Yeah, we also have an artist. I would encourage people. So there are some artists that are doing some different things sort of offline as well. And one of them is writer Jessica Brower. Mm-hmm. And she is collecting writing submissions from folks in the area with the prompt of, while you're inside, what are you seeing outside? So when you're looking out your window, what are you seeing? And she is taking the writing of anyone, so anybody can submit, and everybody is encouraged to submit, and creating a digital publication. Oh, so that'll be really cool. Yeah. So it'll basically be this sort of wonderful snapshot of how everyone in Laramie has been spending their time during quarantine.
Yeah, well, and we see, we're in such a great area where we can get out and do things and go for walks and fishing and hikes and mountain biking and rock climbing, and we can do all of that. So being inside, looking out, has been a little different. It really has. It's kind of like, I want to go out there.
Well, and I imagine for a lot of artists, I mean, it's probably a good time because they're not being bombarded by a lot of different things and they can concentrate on their art. But I know on the other side, we see this with a lot of the musicians out there right now, is that they're anxious to get out and about, inspiration, maybe showing their art, everything else that way. So it's kind of a mixed bag.
It is. And you know what? I think that's where, for Art Up Close too, I think, the artists that we've been working with have been responding in such amazing ways. But even at the beginning of the project, I talked to each artist and said, we're approaching this with a whole lot of grace because this is a very challenging time for everybody. And, that sometimes this sort of different situation can really zap your creativity, right? Because we're all sort of experiencing this in a different way and experiencing life in a different way. And I know that I, as just an arts administrator as well, and somebody who, we're the Laramie Public Art Coalition, we're meant to be working with the public. Right? And when you take that element of it away where, I'm not able to meet with the community, I'm, we don't have that step, that's a challenge. And so it presents a really interesting sort of problem, which I think all arts organizations and all artists are sort of working through that together, is like, well, what is this new way of working and how can we adjust and continue to, create and provide opportunities for people, but in a way that is still disconnected in a bit.
Well, and I think that too, with being closed in right now, and everybody looking for opportunities of learning something new or seeing something new or being involved in something new has really expanded. So so there are probably a lot of these artists and musicians and people that are doing a lot of different things online are probably reaching a whole new audience that they would never have, really been able to reach before. Plus a lot of children and young adults and everything. So that's got to be there's got to be a little excitement with that too, is that you're opening up a whole new opportunity for people to learn.
Oh, for sure. And I do think that, even as things ease back into sort of a new normal for everyone, I think there's so much to have been learned from this, and that hopefully people continue to think about that and think about how to reach these audiences that they haven't reached before.
I would show you one of my art projects, but
you actually do pretty well.
I do enjoy. No, I don't. No, I don't. I said, thank goodness my kindergarten skills still show through. So.
Well, I think one of the things a lot of people don't realize around the state is that there is quite an art and music community for a state that only has 600,000 people. It's pretty plugged in.
Writing.
Wyoming Arts Council gets involved in all types of stuff, and of course, there's a lot of the downtown art projects that have gone on in Laramie and other communities around the state.
Mm-hmm.
So,
that's really one of the reasons. That is the reason why I'm here. I was so impressed with the community, and the artistic and creative community here in Laramie was just unbelievable. I visited in January and was just blown away. So, there's an energy here that I was like, I really want to be a part of that. Because everybody is just, there is this, it's like another level. So it's very exciting, and it's very exciting to be here. And I really, really look forward to being able to meet people.
Absolutely. I hope when this is all over, we can, end of summer, maybe early fall, we can throw a big party and everybody can meet each other. Because we haven't been able to meet you yet.
It's so nice to hug people.
Yeah.
Are there really people that live here?
I know. Well, we're sort of like, are there people here?
Maybe this is one big video game. Maybe we
Yeah.
don't know that. Yeah, that's a little scary. Well, welcome to Wyoming. You're going to find that Wyoming is one small town with a lot of long streets, as we like to say. And I hope you can meet other people around the state too while you're here, Laura.
And again, tell people how they can get involved or watch or, just see what's going on with the Laramie Public Art Project.
Yeah, so you should follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. We are constantly posting about how you can view these great projects that these artists are creating. But then also, as we continue to do new projects, that's the best way to find us right now.
Great. And so it's laramiepublicart.org, and people can either donate there, they can get involved, and they can see what events are going on.
That's right. That's correct.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much for being with us today.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Laura.
It's great to meet you.
Nice to meet you
Nice to meet you
virtually.
too.
Great. Good. Laura McDermott, the director for the Laramie Art Coalition.
Public Art
Public
Coalition.
Art. That's great.
Yeah,
it was
I'm-
great having
I'm
her on.
gonna
And
have
that was a
to-
suggestion from somebody that was watching
from
this.
Susan. Susan suggested that we have her on and get her, talk to her about what's going on. And
Yeah.
it just amazes me the amount of talent that is in this state.
Yeah. It really is something.
And in our own communities.
And if you all have a suggestion for somebody that we should get on
because this
here,
is for the whole state.
this is for the whole state, and we're trying to spread it out. I was talking to some folks earlier that we need to get some folks from certain parts of the state that we've kind of, I think, neglected, and we need to probably do that. So if you have some suggestions, do send them our way, and we'll try and get them on. Each week we try to do a musical guest. That's always kind of fun because we've got an incredible music scene. And up next, we've got Steve and Diane Frame from Casper, and we're going to talk to them. They're going to do some live music for us, too, so that will be exciting. So we'll do that up next. Thanks for tuning in to WyomingLive.tv.
Clinging to a cold one underneath this neon, wondering and wishing without you. The jukebox sits there playing unforgiving memories. Well, I know what I did.
Wow. College already.
Yeah. We gotta go.
For all those times you stood by me. For all the
And remember that
Seatbelt. Drive safe. Call when I get there.
for all the joy you brought to
I
my life.
I love you.
For every dream you made come true. For all the love I found in
I
you.
love you too, Daddy.
You're the one who saw me through.
And thanks for everything.
My strength when I was weak. You were my voice when I couldn't speak.
Gratitude. Pass it on.
Loved me.
A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
Welcome back to WyomingLive.tv. I'm Paul Montoya. Thank you for joining me, together with Lynn Montoya. We've had a good show so far. This next segment we're doing, we're actually we got to be honest with people. We're actually doing it in the past. We actually pre-recorded this segment on Saturday, and so we're actually playing it back. We're fortunate to have a couple of people we've known for a number of years that are musicians.
Oh, some
that
great
have-
musicians,
oh,
yes.
really are. And we'd like to welcome in Diane and Steve Frame. Hi, guys. How are you doing? Good to see you.
How are you?
Good.
In your living room, I assume.
Uh-huh.
We are.
We are.
That's pretty neat. Well, the acoustics sound good. And you guys have been making music together for a few years, but you guys have been making music separately a long time, even before that.
That's
yeah.
right.
Yep.
Yeah, and Diane, tell us a little bit about what your career in music has been and how you got started.
Oh gosh, I've been playing music ever since I was a little girl, and I sang through high school, and I was born and raised in Los Angeles, did a lot of music there, toured, and went on to Detroit, lived there for a while, played in the Renaissance Club, and did jazz piano there. And then I ended up in Wyoming and decided to do some country western music and found this handsome cowboy.
You done good. You both done good. That's kind of nice. Well, Steve, I know I met you a number of years ago. I guess it was probably at Wyoming Public Radio. Came in for an interview, and I think you had maybe some of your Western Rebels with you, maybe at that time too. And we've enjoyed your careers, and it's nice to see you guys are doing this together now.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's been a nice long road. You know, I did music. Good grief, I got into it late. I got into it in my late 20s, but it was when I was in my late 30s and I moved to Wyoming that things opened up, and the state's been so good to me. And then I found my wife here, and it got better.
Well, how did you guys actually meet? Did you meet in a musical environment, or was it something else?
I don't know the first time we met, but we just always saw each other around Casper on the music scene. And she actually even caught my show in Cody one time. And
just purely by accident. I was walking up the street with my kids, and I heard this cowboy singing, and I said, "Hey guys, we need to go listen to him." And he was singing at the Silver Dollar. We sat on the patio and watched him.
That's generally how people find me, by accident.
Yeah.
So,
that's great. Well, you're the first two we've had on. This is only our third show, so it's kind of new. But you're the first two that actually be willing to perform live. So that'll be kind of neat. You want to play something for us now?
Yeah, sure.
Do. We're honored.
Yeah. All right. 1, 2, 3. Bury me along the big sandy, under those blue-gray mountains. Rest thy soul in those hills of coal until this old earth doesn't tremble. Don't you mourn for me when my soul is free. Now, don't you cry, bury me along the big sandy, under those blue Kentucky skies. This old town of sin, it's happened to me, and I don't know how much I can stand.
With my knees on the street and my heart at that beat, I'm forced to beg from Satan's hand.
So bury me along the big sandy, under those blue-gray mountains. Rest my soul in those hills of coal until this old earth does tremble. Don't you mourn for me when my soul is free. Now, woman, don't you cry, bury me along the big sandy, under those blue Kentucky skies. Take it away, Bill.
When I came to this land, I was strong and I could stand, but oh, somehow I gone astray.
But I still see the truth in the teaching of my youth, and I know that the Lord ain't turned away. So bury me along the big sandy, under those blue-gray mountains. Rest my soul in those hills of coal until this old earth doesn't tremble. Don't you mourn for me when my soul is free. No, don't you cry, bury me along the big sandy, under those blue Kentucky skies. under the blue Kentucky skies. Under the blue Kentucky skies.
We have our virtual audience that we got set up for you too. So, a little bit of applause. That was wonderful. That's great.
Well, Diane, it sounds like country music suits you well, though.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Steve.
Now, to be honest, I didn't hear you, years ago in your other life of music, but boy, it sure seems like you've got, you've got a great balance there with the country music, a good country sound.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that compliment. I had kind of a jazz background, and I sing more jazzy, bluesy kind of stuff, and of course, show tunes. I did a lot of musical theater, and then found myself with this cowboy, so I just melded into it.
Yeah. Now, I know you play the violin, fiddle there, but what other instruments do you play?
I play the piano, I play the guitar, I play some mandolin, I play ukulele and baritone ukulele.
Wow.
And
I know you and Diane have been doing some special things on Sunday mornings, something a little more inspirational, something a little more spiritual. Are you going to continue doing that? What's that all about?
Well, it came about when of course, churches quit gathering and people were really isolated, and we had no idea what was going on with this. I didn't just want to come on to serve myself by having a house concert or whatever. And I said, what can I do? I started thinking about the old hymns that we just don't hear as much, that we all grew up with. And we love to sing them. And we have friends who do. And so I virtually invited them over to my house on Sunday morning and said, hey, let's just have a get-together, a fellowship. And it's really open to anybody, but it's not a concert as much as it is just a time to get together and be together through this. I invite all the comments in real time, and we sit and we chat and play these old hymns, and it's been a success. And we don't know what the next few months bring, but we sure would like to keep doing that because it's really been a great thing in our lives.
How do people find you if they'd like to be part of that on a Sunday morning? What time is it, and do they find you on Facebook, or what do they do?
Well, I have two feeds. It originates on YouTube, but then I feed it to Facebook. So if they go to either Steve Frame, and there are like 5 Steve Frames, but me, the Wyoming Cowboy singer Steve Frame, and they can also go to Steve Frame and his Western Rebels and follow that. And if they follow that page, they'll be hooked up with it. And each and every Sunday, that's what we're doing. It's the live feeds at 9 o'clock, but I keep that feed up for a week, so they can catch it if they miss it at 9 o'clock.
But if they're part of the live feed, they can also message you guys, I assume, right? Yeah.
And I have to tell you, I've tuned into that.
Oh, you have?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And Steve, I have to tell you, it does take you back to those old gospel songs, and there's just something that I don't know, it just brings people together, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. I encourage. No matter what your faith walk is, or even if you aren't active in one, I encourage you to come and just hang out and be a part of it. And everybody's welcome. So.
And it's been nice because there's been a couple of those of those old gospel songs, hymn songs that I haven't heard probably in 40 years.
Oh, yeah.
Which is great. I mean, it's great to hear them.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to let you guys go, and because I know you got a lot to do. You guys have very busy
Can they
schedules.
find music, though, and download music or buy music from Stephen and Diane?
Well, I imagine you have a Bandcamp channel for you guys, or what?
I let it lapse. Good, but I'll tell you, if they go to YouTube, and they look up Steve Frame Western Rebel. They can see performances of us and the whole band.
Okay.
And music videos from me. And Diane, what do you have?
I have a CD too that I recorded a year ago for Pain to Praise. It was with Deep End Ministries. We did an event last June when we were still allowed to be together. And I've got a worship CD with all of my original worship songs on that.
Well, very cool.
great.
That's neat. We're going to actually take you out with, you mentioned Western Rebels. We dug up an old video of you doing the song, What Do I Do? Can we close with that, Steve? Would that be all right?
Excellent. And let me say real quick, that was filmed on the streets of Casper and in a bar in Fort Collins. So anybody down in northern Colorado watching, that is the bar in LaPorte known as the Swing Station. So where I'm sitting.
Great. Well,
Yeah.
thanks, you guys. It was great seeing you.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is Steve Frame and the Western Rebels. What do I do?
Clinging to a cold one underneath this neon, wondering and wishing without you. The jukebox sits there playing unforgiving memories. Well, I know what I did. Now what do I do? Leaving got me thinking, sometimes even crying. It's so hard to handle your handing me the truth. Small things must have mattered, and I took you for granted. Well, I know what I did. Now what do I do? Make promises, but what would you believe? Is there still a way back home, or should my heart just try to set you free? Explain it. All that I've learned since I thought it all through, how those small things must have mattered. I took you for granted. Well, I know what I did. Now what do I do? I know what I did.
We are on mute. Yes, my mistake.
Okay, there we go.
Steve Frame and the
Muted.
Western Rebels.
That's right.
Pre Diane.
pre-Diane, and then together they're making music. So that was great. I enjoyed that. So usually we kind of update everybody on the COVID outbreak. So
Wyoming.
Confirmed cases in the state of Wyoming as of today, 596. Recovered, 405.
That's good.
And we are still only at 7 deaths, which is too many. 7 too many.
7. Well, yeah, in Wyoming, we can't afford to lose anybody. We're
That's
a pretty
right.
small state. But it is better than the thousands across the country. And we'll keep those folks in our prayers.
There's an interesting question going around on Facebook is, do you feel confident that it's safe to return to normal activities? And right now, what I've seen in responses is no.
No, is
and
that
that's
people in
throughout
Wyoming?
the state. That's Wyoming. Yeah.
No. Well, I think it's going to be a case where people that feel comfortable probably go out. If they start opening restaurants or bars or concerts or anything like that, I think we'll probably see a downturn in attendance. But the people that feel comfortable, hopefully if proper safeguards are taken, you'll be able to go to those type of places. If it's crowded, I think people are going to turn around and go home.
Probably so.
I hope so.
Of
course, we've seen what happened in the beaches in California. Now, I've heard two sides of the story. I saw the other morning an interview with the mayor of Huntington Beach, and she said that the videos that were being put out by the press were not the same videos that they had. They did drone video flying over, and they said people on the beaches were social distancing.
It's not people drawing squares in the sand and then staying within the square.
Right. Yeah. So I think most people are taking the precautions when things open up.
Serious.
However, they did close down. The state closed down the beach. So overruled. I don't know. Wyoming's a little different, though. We're a little more independent. So we'll see what happens. I think people will play it safe if they don't feel comfortable.
Sounds good. You be safe out there.
Yeah, we don't know. I can't tell you who our guests are going to be next week. We'll just watch the Facebook page. It'll be a surprise, but we should have a few folks. We're going to try and get some folks from other parts of the state that we haven't really maybe done that much in yet. We'll work on that this week. And until next Wednesday, like Lynn said, be safe, and we'll be thinking about you. Have a wonderful rest of the week and into the weekend. Hi, I'm Paul Montoya. Join us for the Wyoming Conversation. Look for us on Facebook at WyomingLive.tv for the next episode.